Alright, today we are circling back to the dirt jump project. If you remember, we left off by removing all the logs that were on the outside that were just getting all rotted, and then cleaned up all that stuff. So now we kind of have a more clean working area. So first of all, I built this jump really quickly as a kind of a setup jump for the big one, and well, it just never worked. The landing wasn't steep enough to get any flow. Where it was positioned here, you'd still be turning, you'd lose all your speed, and then you'd have to do like a pedal manual over this, and it just didn't work out. So this thing needs to go. When it rains, all the water wants to wash down here and erode this quite a bit, so this needs to be fixed. Okay, now on the other side you have like kind of the smaller line. That line is pretty good, like that's the most fun jump in the world, but when we started adding the features in front of it, that jump got really small and everyone was overshooting it. So we need to rejig this. Now that we've moved all those logs, we can now fix the entrance, because you can see, looking at that feature, you're actually off to the side of the big jump. So we kind of want to be more over here, and this feature, we kind of want to be more over here. So now that we have the space, we can finally do that, and then once we get that done, we can connect it to the starting ramp over there. So alright, now that we have all that stuff cleared off, I think we can jump into skid steer and kind of clean this up. Last time I was working on this, it was super frustrating using the skid steer because the ground was still frozen, and I couldn't tell if I was rolling over rocks, if I was rolling over frozen logs. Well, now that the ground is not frozen, it was just frozen logs, so they should not be frozen anymore. So you should be able to clean up any leftover organic matter over there. Having this like this will give me some space to think about what we're going to build. I think we're gonna tinker with this, and this right now, because this thing's definitely a no-go, and then something about this isn't working out. So maybe push some of that dirt over there. We'll figure it out. But for now, I need to put some diesel in this. let's play the game. What time of the year is it? If you guessed April 26th, you would be correct. Ah, look at that giant mud puddle. I'm so glad I decided to start building the dirt jumps yesterday, he said sarcastically. As you can see, it's dry again, so we can finally get back to work. Kind of let this sit for about 2 to 3 days. It's still a little bit wet down there, but not too bad. This spot was wet too, and now we can walk on it without making a mess. So that means we can get back to work. What I was doing before is I'm actually trying to push some of this dirt to that lip because I want to make that jump a little bit bigger, and I also want to make the lip a little bit more gradual. And I'm probably going to do something similar to that one because that lip is too steep, and generally when the lip is less steep, the less eroded it becomes, so the less maintenance it requires. Apparently I forgot to import like literally the most important day of the whole build, and I lost all of that footage. So we're kind of skipping ahead in time where I've already kind of shaped some of the features, but I'm so frustrated that I did that. I've gotten so good at like getting into a routine of importing footage and whatnot that I don't know how I missed that, but things happen, so yeah, we'll just have to work with it. Alright, so today we're going to do packing. We're going to get this shaped up and we're going to get nice and firm. Now, as you can see, the dirt is looking a little bit dusty, but it's also raining, which today is working in our favor to some degree. As long as it doesn't rain too much, because a little moisture does you some good when you're packing. However, if it gets too moist, well, it becomes just mush and you can't work with it. So I want to get this packed before we get any torrential downpours, because once water permeates the surface and gets into the rest of the dirt, it takes so long for it to dry out, and it just delays the process even longer. So the quicker you can get packed, the safer you are. Alrighty, it's time to shape this up. So yesterday we got this packed, and now I'm gonna start giving it its final shape with the shovel. And I didn't pack it too hard, just enough where it's gonna keep its shape. I'm not gonna start with the first feature. I'm not gonna start with the last feature. I'm kind of gonna start in the middle here, because I feel like this feature right here is kind of like the crux of everything. So everything kind of stems from this one feature, and I'm calling this jump in and jump out one feature because everything flows together. So this jump needs to flow into the berm, and the berm needs to flow into the jump that's out of it, and that will determine how we shape that and shape that and shape that, and that will also determine how we shape that and shape that. So might not make sense to you, but that's how my mind works. So yep, we're gonna get to it. I really like the way this is coming along. It's really starting to look like a feature. However, I need to jump into the machine really quickly. There's this spot right here. I made a line there, then a line over there. This spot is actually a little bit higher than this spot, so any water that gets caught in here probably will just pull up and create a puddle. So we need to get rid of this. So as you can probably tell, I've been moving this dirt around, just kind of brainstorming, drafting different ideas to do with it. And I kind of want to keep it where there's a few different options, and specifically some transfer options. But I'm trying to build a double on the side here for a little bit more boostiness, but I also want to keep it doable for people who aren't going to jump. So I'm trying to keep this jump rather skinny, and the main part of this feature will be a roller. So I'm trying to work within those confines because I want something fun for myself, but also something that everyone else that comes here can ride. So I actually think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a more dirt jumpy double here, and then to the side I'm going to make a tabletop. I like to have a bunch of different options all in parallel. That way it gives you even more options to mix and match. You can choose what lip you go off and what landing you choose. For me, that just makes that experience more fun when you're riding it. you can probably tell by how grainy it is, but it's getting dark, and the reason why Haley's hopping around on the jump is because we're trying to pack it a little bit, because it's supposed to rain, and unpacked dirt turns to mud, so just pack it as much as you can, and then this time we're going to throw some tarps over it. So I'm not worried about the berm back there because that's packed. That will shed water fine, because the water cannot get through the small holes of packed dirt, but like the big pores of unpacked dirt, it will just seep in and create mud, and then you won't be able to work with it for another month. I learned that the hard way last year, which is why we're now in year 2 of building this. But yeah, no, I'm happy with how this is shaping up. This is at the point where I'm feeling how this is all gonna ride. Like I said, I think this feature here was a keystone thing of the project, and once we have this done, everything should just fall into place, because this is setting the tone for what this can be. Anyway, let's tarp this and yeah, do some other stuff. Also, the rock collection has expanded even more. I literally have metric tons of rock here. Okay, which one's the big one? Is it this guy?